You are about to enjoy a conversation I had with Robert Reffkin, the CEO of Compass. Today, we unpack mindset. Now, before we get started, if you are curious to learn a little bit more about the Realtor 180 Inner Circle group, go ahead and click the link below. As always, I'm your host and San Francisco referral partner, Sean Kunkler. Robert, we are live. Thanks, man. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Let's dive in. So this is really funny. I was talking to Ruth, your mom, the other day, and we stumbled upon the Plus program, which is incredible. And lo and behold, I live in between Amelia Earhart School and the Temple of Israel. And she's like,
Oh,
"Oh my
wow.
gosh, that's incredible!" So it's
Earhart. Yeah, because I lived like 2 blocks away from that synagogue, and then I would ride my bicycle basically through this synagogue like open area, and then along the water. There's some, and then I do like a jump with the bicycle over some of the bumps in the street, and then I go for 10, 15 minutes to school, and I lock up my bike. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, I'm literally a 4-minute walk in both directions to both places.
Lydicker Park, right? Is that what it's called? Lydicker Park?
Where we live is Harbor Bay, and
Yeah.
we're right on the lagoon. It's such a cool little spot. Love it here.
And there's the Safeway is still there?
Yeah, it's right. It's kind of from my office. I can kind of see it out the window.
Was it Laval's Pizza?
That's not there.
Oh, yeah. I used to play video games. I remember getting all these quarters and playing Street Fighter until.
That's how I grew up. We had like Street Fighter, and then super old school was Asteroids and the Pac-Man.
I think Asteroids is a little before my time.
I just dated myself, clearly.
Exactly. Like Pac-Man.
But thanks for doing this. And
Of
so
course.
the thing I really wanted to dive in and chat with you more deeply about is mindset.
Mm.
Obviously, being the CEO of a mega brokerage and talking to us individual agents are we're our own proprietors. We run our own businesses, and there's so many parallels with which is waking up on the right side of the bed or programming yourself to be and kind of moving forward. I mean, let's just talk about that, and we'll dive into how do you maintain your mindset in the face of all this adversity that we've seen in the past 3 years.
I think when I had my mom raised me in the Bay Area, and every night when I went to sleep, she would say, "Don't have sweet dreams, have big dreams," and so I think I was raised by an entrepreneur. She's a real estate agent. She's been an agent my entire life. First as a life insurance agent, then as a real estate agent. And having a mom as an agent means you had a mom that's an entrepreneur. And by definition, an entrepreneur has failure all around them and no's all around them. And they know how to bounce back with passion and turn a no into a yes and turn a problem into an opportunity. And so I think I just saw her so many times turn a difficult situation into I'm going to get there. And she's disowned by her parents for having an interracial relationship. She was born in Israel. My father was African American, and she was a single mother. And so I think just seeing her do the impossible made me feel like I could do the impossible. And I really do believe that in any challenge there is an opportunity. There's a saying, I don't actually think it's true, but I've heard many people say it, is that the Chinese character for challenge is the same Chinese character for opportunity. I went on Google and I checked that out, and it's like a lot of people say it, and it's actually not true, but still it resonates that you can't actually have an opportunity without a challenge.
Yeah.
The challenge is what makes it all possible.
Yeah.
And so I think the most important thing you have is energy and positivity. And so if you have bad energy and negativity all around you, you will not accomplish anything. There's the quote, I love quotes, that the person who believes they can, the person who believes they cannot are both right.
Yeah.
And so I've just learned to maybe just trick my mind whenever that negativity happens. And like the last 3 years have been the hardest years in my life.
Same.
And like just because what happened to the real estate industry. Yeah, but and no one was prepared for it. But I told myself again and again in the first month, in the second month, in the 30th month, in the 40th month, and this because it was a 3 year downturn.
Yeah.
There, this is great, and you almost say, well, this is great, and then you have to fill in the blank. And it's like, well, yeah, I know this is actually good because, and then you force yourself to come up with the because, and then you have your positivity.
I love the because because it throws it throws that little wedge in your mind where you have to be resourceful, where it gets you out of that downward spiral. And you're like, it's almost like, great, like this is good because, and boom, and you have to go find that. So my good friend, the Laos, who are Chinese, in their bathroom, they have on the wall, and this is when I was practicing Kung Fu when I was running the school, but they have on the wall a picture framed, and it's a Chinese character, and then it says, is defined as chaos or opportunity. So I think whatever
So
you heard was right.
yeah, maybe it actually is true. Maybe it's not challenge up to it's that's crazy. Are you serious? So maybe it is true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do know that the obviously the translations, the words don't
Yeah,
match.
maybe it's not challenge. It's chaos.
But that's the thing. I always, it's funny when the tornadoes. I always like visualize like this just tornado around me. I'm like, there's an opportunity here. I just have to find it. Like I just need to quiet myself down for a moment enough to like figure that thing out.
Yeah.
I mean, but I do. I hear what you're saying, and I was very close to my mom, and my mom had like she would always say, "Sky's the limit." Like, what do you want to do today? Sky is the limit, and it's like it opens you up in a different way. I do know you have kids. What do you share with them? Do you have your little go-to mantra with them?
There's a sentiment that I share, which came from something that an LGBTQ plus leader for this organization said this mantra, and I really liked it. This is who I am. Who I am is just fine. I'm not going to let anyone make me feel bad about who I am. And so I share that with my kids because it's so easy. I mean, look, just think about even whether it's race, whether it's socioeconomic background, whether it's gender, um, whether it's religion, but even take all those things out and just take it Instagram. Everyone's so beautiful on Instagram. It's like,
Perfect.
they
Perfect.
like,
Perfect.
I mean, literally the filters will make you feel bad about. Like I got a pimple right here, and I'm like, should I feel bad? I mean, I don't know, right? But um, I share that with my kids because I want them to be happy with who they are, and I think we're in a world where I mean, it's not just today; it's always been that way, but not always, but for a long time, it's been that way because that's what marketing does. It's like
That's
marketing says,
marketing.
if you do this, you can be that, which is different than saying you shouldn't be happy with who you are. And so that's one. Two, I do. My mom says I say go to sleep, have big dreams, all the wonderful things you can be, and I love you more than anything in the world. Um, and I tell them it's so important to me that you're kind. Like you don't need to be smart, you don't need to be this, but you have to be kind. You just have to be. Like I think there's the kind of quote that um, giving feels better than getting.
Mm,
I don't know if it's a quote, but I know it's a sentiment. I believe that to be true. Like getting
yeah.
and having is not a path to happiness,
Yeah.
and but giving is. So I just want them to be good and kind and thoughtful and caring. So even if it's like in the movie theater, we got an argument as a family. It's like you can't talk in the movie theater. You got to be kind to everyone else. But yeah, I think those are some of the things that really matter. But I've not figured it all out. I don't know. Being a parent is super 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 hard.
I can only. I'm a step parent, and it's a different suite of problems, but it's kind of like any practice. You just practice and try to do better the next time around. I'm also a huge fan of quotes. My favorite one with regards to relationships is relationships are a place to go and give something, not a place to go and get something. And it really changes how I show up. But what's interesting on that is I'm going to quote you now. When you were having a conversation with your mom just prior to opening the brokerage, and I'm not sure how the conversation evolved, but your response to her is, "We're only going to hire the nicest people." And in that, obviously, it stuck with me. I wrote it down because it was one of those things. I was like, "That is such a it's such an interesting way to approach business." Most people go for numbers, sales, volume. We're going to hire the best, the biggest, the number ones. And your approach was like, we're going to hire the nicest people. Where did that come from?
Have you been completely neglecting your newsletter, social media, or any of your outbound marketing? If so, I have a solution for you. With little to no commitment, a virtual assistant can jump in and help you in those areas you just don't have the time for. For more information about hiring a virtual assistant, go ahead and follow the link in the description below.
Look, I think there are two things. Like one, I started a nonprofit called New York Needs You. Now it's America Needs You, number of different states, and it focuses on career development, college support, summer internships for people who are first in their family to go to college. I ran 50 marathons, one in each state, to raise $1 million for nonprofits. I went through 6 nonprofits in the Bay Area when I was in school, in high school, and so I received a lot from others, and I wanted to give back to others. I started a charter school. I worked in the White House and I worked in corporate America. And I do think, at least particularly when we started in New York, the standards of who you would surround yourself with in the places I was at before was higher in terms of like culture and being nice and kind than what I saw in real estate. And not all real estate firms, of course,
Sure.
but some of like the major firms, they just allowed people, like basically top producers, to be mean to others, mean to other agents, and mean to other employees. And I didn't understand that. I didn't. That wasn't okay. You can't yell at employees. Like there was this one guy we got asked to leave. He was a huge producer, but he yelled at like a 23-year-old girl, and you just can't do that. And so we had to ask him to leave, and it was a big deal because no one would have done that, but also no, the other companies wouldn't have done that. And he went back to his other company, and then it created issues because no one from that company wanted to come to Compass for a long time because he said things about Compass. But I think that's one of just like I think outside of real estate in certain groups, like the standards are just a little higher on like what's not acceptable.
Sure.
Like certain behavior is not acceptable. The second is when we started Compass. I asked all of these friends to refer me to their agents so I could try to hire them. And remember, like nothing. I'm a 33-year-old kid, and I'm which is funny now. It feels like a kid.
I know, right?
It's like an adult. That's a
I
30-year-old
almost
kid.
hit 50, so I understand that.
I'm like, as a 40-year-old kid. I was saying, I was a young kid, but but 30 as a 33-year-old, and I asked all these agents. We've raised a lot of money. We have a bunch of great employees from technology companies, from marketing companies, from from consulting companies that will work for you and help you grow your business. What would you want to come to Compass? And the number one thing they said was culture. And I was like, what do you mean? I said, I want a company that where when you go in, it gives you energy, it doesn't take it away. And we call those, they said the word energy vampires. I don't want to be around energy vampires. And I asked, he said, tell me more. They said, I want to be around people that are likable, collaborative, experienced, and fully committed. I want to be inspired by others.
Yeah.
And so that was the foundation. And then I just try to find inspiring people that inspire each other. And then we had something special. And then I want to protect that as something special. And so when people came in, and look, we're not perfect. I wish we were. We're a bigger company now. But I think the most important challenge that we have as a company is how do you make a big company feel small, and how do you create a culture that gives where people get energy from it.
That's actually pretty profound. I know we're north of 30,000 agents, and to feel small, it's oddly, it does. And I hadn't thought about it until you just said it, but there's this weird piece that does feel really small and really intimate.
It's like of my ask to the people in Compass, like please do anything you can along those lines. I'm trying to do my part. I every Sunday I go to open houses to support agents and bring my entire family. All of my kids are trying; they're like protesting now. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. During like spring break and vacations, I visit the agent offices with my kids, and they're protesting over that too. But I think like every other Friday I have Shabbat dinner at my house or invite agents over. I want to do everything that I can to make it feel small and create a culture of care where we care about each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting in my life. There's people always talk a good game, right? But it's their actions that really show who the character was. And even just prior to this, you had invited me to dinner, which is incredibly kind, and I appreciate that. And that's not like that just comes through as just such a genuine thing, and and to kind of like flip it back to the Instagram, that the Instagram facade is just it's like this false facade of caring and authenticity and genuineness, but it's like this facade. So to actually have it is a breath of fresh air, and it is cool, again on a smaller scale, that I don't feel lost amongst this 30,000. Like you and I are I'm sitting down with the CEO right now and having a conversation. Like this doesn't typically happen. And so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And yeah, well, look, I think we're all in this together, and I was happy to join this. My wife also said I should join as well, which is cool.
Oh, good. I put the bug in her ear.
You put the bug in here. You got to do what the wife says.
Yeah, I figured, I'd have the conversation with your mom, get her to really love me, and then go to
Yeah,
Benice. And then,
yeah.
which Benice is kind of having a partner like Benice is an ace in the hole as well, because she's a business coach, and obviously she's, aside from being loving and caring and nurturing, she has this business sense, which is like,
Yeah, it's interesting. You really got the two things. That she's incredibly loving, caring, and supportive. I would call her what's the words? Um, she's I forget the name, the way you describe it, but she's incredibly accepting, and radically accepting. Yeah, which is really nice, because I think in my life I felt judged a lot by other people.
interesting.
So she, and it's kind of like my kind of feeling judged is the energy vampire thing. It's hard for me, which is why the last 3 years was hard, because Compass was kind of under attack.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
time,
I mean, the whole industry.
the whole industry, but Compass more than most in the press and all that.
Yeah.
But so she's radically accepting on one hand, but she's also a really good kind of life and business coach on the other. And yeah, I really got the ace in the hole. I mean, gosh, I just feel so lucky, so lucky to have found her.
That's interesting that you share being judged. I think that's something that's it's always challenging for most people, and social media, I think, has exacerbated that feeling for most people. But on the flip side, kind of the irony is you are at the helm of a very high profile company, and so of course you're going to attract. You're just gonna. It's like equal and proportionate. It's like the bigger you get, the more love and admiration you get. But on the flip side, you get the other side of the coin to come with it. How do you manage those moments when it just feels like the whole world is coming at you?
Um, I think mostly over the course of 10 years, because we've gotten a lot of stuff. There have been a lot of headlines around Compass over the 10 years, many designed by our competitors, but also the headlines get a lot of clicks from, because there's 1.4 million agents. So there's like a bad headline, you get a lot of clicks, and that's kind of how it all works. But I think I think 89% of the time I just try to ignore it and just move forward, and I don't really pay attention. The hardest time for me though probably was summer 2 years ago. We had to do layoffs. We moved faster than other companies, and so we did two layoffs. One in June, one in it was like basically August, and it was right around the earnings call. And then there's all this stuff like, well, Compass going out of business, and and this and that, and all these like really like, but every day there's like a different article. And then the agents. So I don't really care about the press, but I care about our agents, because I love our agents. I want them to be happy. And when agents are happy, I'm happy. When agents are unhappy, I'm miserable. And so I was getting 20, 30 agents texting me a day saying, what are you going to do to get ahead of this press? What are you going to do? You're going to tell them that you got to say something. And also when you're a public company, you can't actually just say anything you want. There's like real rules around what you can and cannot say. And so I remember I was with my wife, and I was like, honey, I can't deal with this. I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this. Meaning just take all the pressure, and like so many agents unhappy. And so, and then she really just helped me. She said, this isn't, I don't remember exactly how she said it, but she said, this isn't that hard. I don't see them attacking your character or your values. They're attacking your financials. She said, I remember when you were at Goldman Sachs and there was Occupy Wall Street. They called you the vampire squid. And there was, for over 100 days, there were people protesting outside your office. You had to walk through protesters. I don't see them, she said, I don't see them hauling you in front of Congress like Mark Zuckerberg. She said, get over it. Just like, fix the company and get over it. And it really helped. I then we actually had a no comment policy at the press, which I think was one of the reasons why press, taking up our relationships, we didn't have a relationship with the press. And I think that then, so we really moved quickly over a month or two and built relationships with the press. And that really, since then, everything changed, which is fascinating. I mean, we also, our financials changed since then, but, and so that obviously contributed, but yeah, in the hardest of times, my wife helped me see a path forward. I think that's what's hard. You talk about mindset, right? Like when it's really dark, like you got to be able to see a beautiful, positive future. And if you can't, then like, well, that's a problem. And so she gave me, she likes like, it's not that bad. Just fix the financials, talk with the press, build a relationship. You'll get out of it, and don't worry. It's like, oh, okay. Go coach.
I know, right? And that's like the best coach too, because they know you, like just on a deep, intimate level. But I mean, that's the definition of depression is looking backwards, looking to the past, looking at, and then optimism is looking forward. And to your point, you moved forward.
Is that really it makes so much sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's not literally it's like, that's how you arrive there. Like depression is you're spinning backwards.
You're spinning backwards.
And optimism is that
propelling forwards. Yeah.
That because that we discussed in the very beginning, it's like as soon as you attach the because, you move out of it. You reminded me, I love quotes as well, but you reminded me of a quote that I heard from Barnum and Bailey Circus. And he said, I don't care what you say about me in the press. Just spell my name right. Because at the end of the day, if people are talking about you, it's the other side of the coin. You have your raving fans who are in support of you and what you're doing. And I was with Compass through those challenging times. And
you remember like every day is like another article, but we got through it.
And on the flip side, being an agent in having been through that experience with the company, it's weird, but we're in it, and so we feel it 24 hours a day, right? But our clients don't. That's not their perception. Our clients are, oh yeah, we hear of Compass all the time. That was the end of the conversation, and so it was being with Compass. It was easy because the conversation was already teed up with the clients. They're already familiar with the brand, and they're like, oh yeah, you guys are a tech brand. And obviously I'm in Silicon Valley, so San Francisco. And so everybody's familiar with moving fast and breaking things along the way. it's just kind of like normal culture for us. So it wasn't. It was interesting how it was actually perceived versus how it was perceived in the media to get those clicks. But I'm thankful that we're out of it. But then, to your point earlier, it's like we get out of it, and then we go into something else, and then we get out of that, and we're like, right. It's just been such a wild. It's been such a wild 3 years, and so
Yeah.
I think my big takeaway from this conversation is look forward and add that.
Look forward, be positive, see the future, turn anything. There's opportunity everywhere around you. You just got to find it,
Yeah.
and that makes it fun.
That's the adventure, right?
Yeah.
It's if you look for that, because in a really good friend of mine who's also a business coach, her coaching for me was look for the opportunity within the opportunity.
I
Like
like that.
like there's an opportunity here, just dig at it. Like why is this an opportunity for you? It's that turning the chaos into the opportunity in the whole adventure. Um, Robert, this has been just incredibly amazing. I appreciate your time. I know you're super busy and you're pressed for time, but thank you for doing
Thank you.
this. I do want to share really quick while I have your ear. What's been super cool is this platform has given me the opportunity to sit down with hundreds of top performing agents. What I've since done is we've taken that group of amazing top performers who are not actually just with Compass, but they're with brokerages all over the US. And then that group, we actually meet 2 times a month and we talk shop. We talk about how do we improve our business and our
That's all.
opportunity. And just the beautiful thing that the you building this big thing, we've built these smaller ways to connect on one-to-one level. So thank you. I thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and have a wonderful week. And I'm glad to be here. And I'll see you when I'm next in the Bay Area.
Awesome. I'll see you then.
Take care.